So when you raise the standards in your business, everything else will fall in line. And in this video, I'm going to explain how having better client contracts in place will lead to better clients. My name is Liku Amadi, founder and attorney of Anasa Law Firm, where I work with consultants, coaches, and expert service providers to help them establish a solid legal foundation for business. And one of the main ways I do that is via contracts. Contracts are your our contracts are the foundation of your client relationships. They are your opportunity to lay down the rules, tell them how things are going to go down when you provide a service that leads them from where they are to where they want to be. Contracts are not just something that you check the box on or sign off on in order to get paid. They literally help frame and structure the client experience and ultimately determine how you and your client are going to work together so you can see why they are so instrumental and important to the transaction that is you delivering your service. So, how can better client contracts get you to better clients? That is a question on the table. And I said earlier, when you raise your standards in business, everything else will follow suit. And that is the case with contracts. When you have a contract that you've thoroughly drafted, or you've had an attorney thoroughly draft, when you have a contract that lays out the expectations of a client, it lays out the rules, it tells them what to do, it tells them what's going to happen in the course of you working together, right? When you're very particular and thorough about what is going to happen, number one, the person who is signing your contract is going to get all that information and know how to act. They will naturally follow suit because you are telling them how to act. Your contract is literally the instructions as to how things are going to go down between you and your client. So the first way is you telling them how to act. They are going to have to rise to the level, rise to the caliber of whatever it is that you require of them in order to facilitate your service. You're literally telling them what to do, and it doesn't get simpler than that, so long as they listen to you and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do, right? But that is number one. You are literally telling them what to do. Number two, when you are not yet bringing people to the table, or you have someone who's looking at your contract or interested in your services, looking at your content and interested in your services, and doing their research, asking around, trying to figure out whether they want to work with you, whether you're going to be a good fit. Whatever content and context you have out there is going to inform them of that. If we back up a little bit and go back to when you raise your standards in business, when you have a contract that speaks to that higher level that you're at, to that raised standard, that raised caliber, it is going to be reflected in any content that you put out there on social media, in any conversations that you have, whether they're sales conversations, being interviewed on a podcast, whether you're speaking on someone's stage, right? All of that is going to be reflected in what you put out there, and it is going to attract and speak to a certain level of client. That way, when they come in, you've already weeded out the type of clients that you do not want, right? You're more so calling in the people that you do want because your content and whatever context you're using to call them in is reflective of that higher standard that you've already set forth for your business. And then on top of that, when you do finish the sales call, when you do give them the contract to sign, they are also going to have to read all of those directions, all of those boundaries, all of those limits. They are going to be aware of the structure and the thoroughness that you have put into your contract, right? So in both cases where somebody is already ready to work with you and maybe they're just not there, and in the case where you're calling in clients who may be there, they will likely be or become your ideal client because they are going to have to do better in order to work with you. They're going to have to fall in line with the structure that you've set up, but they can't do that unless you've set up a structure for them to fall in line to. Earlier today, I made a post about client duties and people falling in line, and you as a service provider being responsible for telling them what they need to do, right? People want direction. You are an expert in whatever field or industry you are in. They are hiring you for that. But as a service provider, remember that you also are providing a service, and you need to be able to do that in a manner where people can follow you. People can trust you to lead, right? You want those clients who want to be led and won't be combative or trying to make things up on the go, or because your contract isn't thorough and detailed enough to meet their needs, right? They have to make assumptions or fill in the blank, etc. You at the outset want to lay out that foundation, those directions, those boundaries, those limitations, that structure for them to work within. Because if you have certain standards, your service is going to be delivered in such standards where it's aligned with the contract and the details you have in that contract, versus you being all over the place or doing things how you want. Yes, you can still perform the work, but again, on top of being an expert, there's the element to you actually providing the service, actually presenting a format and a path and a way for your client to follow you to that destination, right? So the client that can listen and follow you is going to be a better client, is going to be more aligned with your ideal client. There's going to be less confusion, less friction, less miscommunication, less assumptions, and it'll be easier for both of you to work together because you have laid out a structure which they need to fall in line with per your contract. Again, your contract is the foundation of your client relationships. It is the piece that allows you to do all of these things. It is a piece that allows you to bring in your operations and your boundaries and your policies while delivering your service in a manner that satisfies both you and your client, so you can have a good client experience on both ends. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense for you. Let me know in the comments if you feel like you need to look back at your contract and see if you are setting the standard, if your contract is thorough and detailed enough to meet your client's needs so that they can fall in line and be that client that matches the caliber of your service. That is the nugget that I have for you today. So, again, if you are thinking about whether your contract does it, just go back and read it. You don't need to be an attorney to know the answer. As a business owner, you have certain intuition, you have certain savvy. You can read your contract and know whether it's doing what it's supposed to do to attract and call in that clientele that is ideal for you, that more quality, that better clientele, and repelling those that you do not want to work with. All right. I will see y'all later. Have a good day.